Welcome to Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandal. For this episode, we're exploring an area of the arts that educates, relaxes, alters moods, inspires reflection, and entertains. Cinema does all of that and more. It appeals to the cinephiles and masses alike, and that's why the return of this fall's 11-day Windsor International Film Festival, or WIFF as it is known, is something to celebrate. Let's take a look. Well, if that trailer doesn't make you want to attend this film festival, I'm not sure what will. WIFF was conceived in 2005 by late businessman Mark Boscariol and Enterprise Windsor's Dennis Perlin. And despite the average lifespan of a film festival being about 2 years, WIFF is still standing 18 years later. This year, it will offer audiences 170 films from 30 countries. For 11 days, from October 27 to November 6, there will be 300 screenings at 3 downtown Windsor venues. As a cultural charitable organization, it does more than showcase films. It also sponsors a National Canadian Film Prize, hosts a 48-hour Flick Fest, and presents Women of WIFF. Here to tell us more about the festival and how it's enriching Windsor's community is Vincent Georgie, the Executive Director of WIFF. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Veronique. I appreciate it.
Oh, watching that trailer, I was saying, I saw that film. I saw that film. And there are some I would love to see again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we've shown so many great films, over the years, and certainly for this year, really good roster coming up.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, so during the pandemic, WIFF really did a pivot.
Oh, yeah.
Because you couldn't have in-person, and you did something called Under the Stars.
We did. We ran a beautiful drive-in right on the waterfront, looking at the Detroit River for both 2020 and 2021. We did them both for about 3.5 weeks. We had a lot of fun doing that. I've got to admit, doing a drive-in was never part of our plans, ever. So the learning curve was quite ferocious. We'd just not done something like that. But we made a decision in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. We realized we could not put on the fall 2020 festival safely. So we said, that's off the table. But we felt an absolute duty to the community to do something substantial. We said, if we're not going to do the festival, let's do something great. And also, we also had not much appetite to do a virtual film festival. That was actually off the table pretty fast. We didn't think it was experiential enough. We didn't think it was important to the community enough. Well, let's do something else. And that's how we did a drive-in during the pandemic.
And what does it feel like now, knowing that in just a few weeks, you are going to be having theater screenings again in person?
genuinely couldn't be more excited for it, because now it's been 36 months. It's been 3 years since the 2019 festival. And when we left that 2019 festival, we had so much momentum and so many things were happening. The whole world was going in a good place. And then, everything stopped with the pandemic. So I would say it's a lot of appetite. Our team is very excited to be in person with our audience. It's what we like. And I would say also that much more grateful to do it, because we haven't done it since 2019.
Yeah. The organization, as I indicated in the introduction, is a lot more than just showing films. And you have values.
Yes.
Tell
Absolutely.
us about that.
Yeah, I mean, we think about, our mission, vision, and values, and our mission is to be nationally recognized by both industry colleagues and the general public, industry leading, being relevant and important to our industry, and a cultural destination where film lovers from all over come to Windsor to see great films that we're known for this. So that's important to us. And our values, I think our values about being committed to our downtown. We're firmly a downtown Windsor Film Festival, and we're very, very proud of that. But bringing quality of life to the region. All these types of things, but the diversity of our programming. I mean, seeing multiple different lives and different realities and histories on the screen. All these things matter to us very much. And we really believe in the powerful role of film. And when you think back to our founder, Mark Bascario, his line that he always loved was, the end of the movie is the beginning of the conversation. For us, we always want to have films that strike up a conversation for people. And it can be a lighthearted film, it can be a serious film, it can be an action film, it could be a documentary. It doesn't matter. But it's something that makes you want to talk to someone about what you've just seen.
And bringing an integrity and educational piece as well.
Yes, perfectly right. In terms of both, quite literally in terms of bringing school groups in. I mean, we've had everything from elementary school to high school to a lot of university and college students as well. But also thinking of films that show people a different part of the world, show people different realities. Some of my favorite memories of all time at WIFF have been when some of our patrons will stop me in the lobby of the Capitol Theatre and talk to me about an experience they've just had in a film and what it taught them, what it showed them. I had one woman years ago that came out of a film, it's called Elephant Song. And she said, I'm going to leave now. And I said, okay, is everything all right? And she said, by watching that film and the young men in that film who was going through a bit of a trauma, I've suddenly realized that my nephew is going through that. And I've never understood it until this film. And she said, I have to go right now. And I've got to I'm thinking of this. I'm like, this is incredible. The fact, I'm so happy that happened for her. I was thinking of another friend of mine in the community came out of a film that was about something, I think it was about selling visual art or something, which is interesting, but not necessarily emotional. So I was asking him after the film, how, do you enjoy the film? And he was very emotional at the end of it. I'm like, wow, never would have occurred to me that film was even emotional. And he said it touched me in a way that I can't even explain. And I'm like, I don't even understand why you're so touched by that film. Yeah. I'm just happy it happened. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
That's really powerful.
Yes. And and there's so many stories like that.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Your sustainability is very important, obviously, to you and the community.
Yeah.
And I understand that you've just acquired charitable status.
We have.
So what will that mean?
Yeah. So into that process over the past year, and it was granted to us. We're thrilled about that. What it means is that we've been recognized by the CRA as being charitable, that our pursuits are to benefit the community, that our pursuits are greater than us, and that there is a societal benefit to our contribution to our community, which we're thrilled what that actually means. You know what I mean? And in terms of obviously financially or what have you, certainly it allows for people not only to, as we've always had, people acting as sponsors and as advertisers, but also as donors. That for people who would say, I believe in what you're doing and I just want to support that in a material way, that's absolutely terrific. And for us, as much as there can be some financial benefit to us, which is great, absolutely, we're actually quite taken at that we were reviewed as being to a tangible benefit to society. That's wonderful. We're honestly thrilled by that, to be honest.
And on a practical level, does it also allow you to give receipts?
Yes,
receipts?
Of course.
And that's huge.
Oh, that's huge. Absolutely. If people are making actual donations to it, yes, they give a tax receipt to us. That's terrific. It's absolutely terrific for individuals or for corporations. That's a huge benefit financially for us, and certainly for them as well. It's certainly to offset some of the costs. It's terrific. We're really quite thrilled.
Now, you've just returned from the other festival.
Yeah.
TIFF.
TIFF, of course, yeah.
So what did you think of this year's TIFF, and sort of what was the feeling you got there?
I was so impressed by it. It was a roaring return for TIFF. They have not had a regular festival since 2019. 2020 was all virtual. 2021 was a bit of a hybrid that was pretty slim. It just didn't feel right. This was a return, big crowds, big films, excitement, a real confident return. You know, their festival street where they have street closures and people are coming and going around the venues was packed. Enthusiastic, energized crowds. I was really happy for TIFF. They're our partner. And I think very, very successful. And I think some of their major films too, very, very well received. And it was a very confident return. I think during the pandemic, our whole sector of live entertainment, specifically film, we were told, you're so far down the list of returns, you're not even on the list. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's and rightfully, you understand it, but like our return of our sector was like who knows when this is happening? And now it's happened, I'd say certainly over the past maybe 6 months, everything in live entertainment is back and the pendulum has swung profoundly in the direction of people want to engage. So it was a beautiful return for TIFF, to be honest, and we're excited to see the same thing in Windsor. Did
you notice anything different from other years?
Yeah, I did. People's gratitude.
No kidding.
I'm glad you asked that question. I picked up on it of people saying it's been a while and it feels really good. It's been a while. Also, TIFF has a very significant international audience that come from around the world to be there, especially on the industry side. So many colleagues where it's like, we'd normally see each other every year. It's like, I haven't seen you in 3 years. There was an extra note of that. Absolutely. And I would say there was an extra note of the appreciation of what an actual in-cinema experience was. You know what I mean? I mean,
yes.
I also enjoy watching films at home and I make weekly recommendations on films to watch at home. But it reminded us how great it is, especially I think too for like say a comedy. It's much more enjoyable to watch a comedy with a lot of people there.
Yes.
I don't tend to laugh a lot on my own.
Yeah.
You know, or a horror film. But if there's a group, it really adds so much. And I think that was the vibe. It just reminded us of that the excitement of being in a big lineup for that big film everyone's excited about. That's a vibe too. That I thought was really palpable at TIFF this year, to be honest.
And now, one of the other things I also mentioned in my introduction was the 48-hour Flick Fest.
Yes.
I know people get so excited about this.
Very, 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 very much. So it's the Mark Mascaro 48-hour Flick Fest. The competition took place a couple of weeks ago. The best of those films will be screened during WIFF. It's a very popular competition where filmmakers have 48 hours down to the minute, okay, to make a short film.
Pretty strict about it.
Very, absolutely. It's pretty strict about it. And we give them some criteria of a character they have to have in the film and a prop they have to have in the film and a line of dialogue just to make sure they haven't made the film 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
And what's really amusing with it, you've got many teams that are a bit more experienced, have all sorts of interesting equipment and really try to up their game every year. And you have a whole bunch of teams who have never done any of this and are like, what can you do on your iPhone? Let's figure this out. And it's wild because people are having fun making film and playing around and experimenting. And sometimes it works out well, sometimes it doesn't. But it doesn't even mean that's not interesting. And that there's a real joie de vivre with it. That's fun. And the audience that participates in it, and certainly the audience that comes to watch those films, is very loyal. They show up. There's no question they're showing up every year because there's a real energy to it. And the other thing too that we've opened up, we will actually have teams mostly from Windsor, Essex, but we actually have teams. It is put out globally. So we've absolutely. I know we've got teams from across the US, across from Canada as well that are participating, and that's pretty terrific.
And I found that you also engage a lot of young people in the 48 hour.
Oh, absolutely. They can participate. And we get a lot of people, especially at the high school level too, they'll want to participate and just try it out.
Yeah.
It's terrific because it's a chance to experiment and play around. And the thing that people always underestimate, I think you would appreciate this, they always underestimate editing. They think they can shoot up until about an hour before the film's due. And then they realize, oh my goodness.
Yeah, the filming should have been half an hour.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time should be editing.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. But that's a fun learning lesson as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing, of course, you ensure that the voices of women and women in film are brought into WIFF.
Yeah.
So how does Women of WIFF kind of pull that off?
I mean, Women at WIFF is an important initiative that we have led by one of our board members, Pat Papadeus. And she's created a terrific forum within WIFF around Women at WIFF, where you bring in a significant film that is made by women, a film that is about women's lives, women's stories, women's issues, and that is receives prominence at the festival. And there's always a significant amount of guests attached to that film that attend. And what's really actually quite compelling is women in the community will actually contribute towards that screening, towards making it happening, towards allowing those guests to come in to tell that story. So it absolutely has a grassroots origin to it. There's no question. And you're showing some really meaningful films. When I think back, we showed a film called I Am Evidence, which was about, disturbingly, a warehouse full of untested rape kits in the greater Detroit area.
That was extraordinary.
I mean, this film had to be shown. We saw this film. We said that people have to see this. It just has to happen. But thanks to the support of our supporters who get behind Women at WIFF, we brought in Kim Worthy, the district attorney of Wayne County. We brought in the police investigators. We brought in 5 or 6 people from across the U.S. who were involved in the film, all to Windsor to talk to us about the film, what it meant, and they had a reception. So that's been great. We've had a few other really important films since then as well. But we're very, very proud to do it. Yeah.
And of course, there are so many other WIFF offerings.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. Francophone films,
yes.
Midnight Madness, the LGBTQ2 plus programming, hot docs.
Yeah. It's our strategy around it is, first and foremost, it is our failure if every single person looking at our program but cannot find something they want to watch. How? We were really there to serve a wider round of audience that have different tastes, and that's the point. And the beauty of us having 4 different screens that we run at a time, you can counter program. So you have, an action film, you have a drama, you have a 3-hour documentary on something super serious, and then you have a musical playing all at the same time. And you let people pick amongst, and you go to other films. So we want to have a wide variety. And allow our audience to play around a bit. What's interesting too with our audience during the film festival, especially ones that get our adult pass, is they get to go to as many films as they want. It's sort of like being at a buffet. Is when you're at a buffet, you tend to try a few extra things because why not?
Right.
And that allows people to experiment a bit, which is really important. And I've never seen a subtitle film before, go and enjoy one. Or I was never thinking about seeing that film if it's playing right now. Let me try it out. And people discover some new films, surprise themselves. And that's part of what we want to encourage, is let people play around a little bit.
And how are the audiences responding to that cornucopia of film offerings?
Extremely well. It's actually one of the key reasons that we've grown so much, is that people, because there's so much choice, you get to find some things that are obviously interesting to you, but you're like, oh, what about this? What about that? And then, of course, the other thing too is word of mouth. When our audience is a very engaged, very vocal audience, and they will tell you when something's good or something needs to be seen, and then it all starts to go. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's really quite exciting to see our audience so engaged. Our audience is not the type that's leaving a film and go straight to their car. Oh no, they're going to see other films. They're telling you, and they can see this, and don't miss that one. And that's exciting. Very exciting.
And I must say, when I'm in the lineup, or if I'm walking to join a lineup, and I see people I know, or even people who say, what are you going to see?
Yeah.
Or they'll say, oh, you got to go see such and such.
Yes.
And you're right, that word of mouth, even standing in line.
Absolutely. And even sometimes you're in line for a film and another film is letting out and you're seeing your neighbor. How was it? I'll catch up with the other. Was it? Yes, got to catch you later. All those little reconnections and community pieces, I think, will be particularly meaningful this year. Because there's going to be a lot of people at this festival that have not seen each other in a long time. And that's going to have a little bit of extra to it.
Yeah, I think so too. Very exciting time.
Yeah.
Now, in 2019, WIFF had an exclusive agreement with Netflix.
With Netflix? Yeah.
I mean, that was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, it was terrific.
And anything on the horizon?
Yeah. No, we are back with Netflix as well. We've got some exclusives from Netflix. There's 2 films that we're very excited about. One being a film called The Wonder, written by Emma Donoghue, who'd written Room. It's an film adaptation of that with the French actress Florence Pugh. It's very, very good. We have that, and we have that ahead of streaming. We've got that ahead, and then we've got another film that it's a German film called All Quiet on the Western Front. It's a tremendous World War I film. It's a very high caliber film. Germany's already submitted it for Oscar consideration. It's very, very strong. So we've got those ones, and we've also struck a new partnership actually with Amazon this year for the first time. So they've been great. It never, and I'll tell you, Veronique, it never gets old when I remember when Amazon contacted us. It's like, would you make time for a call? Yeah, yes.
I'll see.
But you know what I mean? Yes. What are we going to say? Yeah.
But it's such a cool feeling, isn't it?
It's wild that there's been such industry attention and audience attention on the work that we're doing, and recognizing the strength of our program, the strength of our organization, the strength of our audience. We have a phenomenal audience, and we're very excited about that.
And you also have the Canadian Film Prize.
That's right, yeah.
That's extraordinary. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're very, very proud. So we've committed to a $25,000 cash prize for the best Canadian film. It goes to the filmmaker. We nominated 10 outstanding Canadian films this year. There are many more to pick from, that's for sure.
Must be very difficult.
It honestly is. And also because there's so many excellent films, and you just have to whittle it down and wrap your head around it. But we're really happy to do that. And filmmakers from each film will be coming to WIFF to represent their film and be there with our audience and do Q&As and engage. And we're also assembling putting some finishing touches on our jury that are coming down of film industry colleagues that are coming in from all parts of Canada, coming in to jury these films and award the prize. So we're very excited about that. And back in great anecdote, in 2019, when we awarded the prize, it was our first time to a film called Quessapan by a filmmaker named Myriam Véro out of Quebec. The film was about an Innu community in northern Quebec, an Innu Indigenous community. And upon hearing of the fact that she had won, she donated her whole prize. This is on Twitter. She instantly donated her film prize back to that community so an Indigenous filmmaker would be able to make his or her own film. I mean, it was incredible. Yeah. It was absolutely incredible because we announced it at this closing night and on Twitter, and then she responds in and she's thrilled and she says, "I instantly give this money back." Wonderful.
Yeah, such sweet moments.
Yeah, exactly, and unscripted. The type of thing you're like, that's just good.
Now, up until 2019, the festival had grown exponentially. Yeah. The last number was...
in 2019 was about 43,000 paid tickets. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And how did that compare to others in the country?
Oh, we were the largest volunteer-run film festival in the country, no question. No question. In terms of even, film festivals with full-time, large paid staffs, we would have been, no question, in the top 10 for the country.
Do you feel you have room for growth? And is there a concern of growing too fast or too much?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of room for growth, we added an extra day to the festival this year. It's an 11-day festival. It's our biggest one. We really think that's our adult size. We don't have any plans to add more than our current 11 days. We think that's the right size. If we were to add a venue, it would have to be in the downtown core, no question. We think that idea of come downtown and just you're around, you're steps away from the next film. You can get to the other venue, grab a cup of coffee, see your friend. We don't like the idea of people having to go too far. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely sustainable. There's no question. I think it's a matter of making sure we're keeping quality up. That's always important for anything, and make sure it still has that special magic, which is key. But I think we've got the right length of it right now, and I think our venues work really well. Maybe if there's another downtown venue, we'd look at that. That'd be amazing. But it would have to make sense.
Yeah. Now you do that with help from extraordinary numbers of volunteers.
Extraordinary.
How are you able to attract so many volunteers? Is it because of what it is?
Yes, I really think it is. I've got to be honest. It always surprises me a little bit when the call goes out and I asked our team, how's it going? Who's coming for what shift or who's signed up for what? And this year, I think it was within 3 days, maybe it was 2 days, they said, we already have more than enough people that have expressed interest. I'd never assumed that. So I was like, wow. Because I think it's because how exciting an event it is. It's something that people are and also proud of. And what I love is when industry guests come from out of town who will tell us, they're like, it's easy to say volunteers are great, but they said there's a certain beaming pride of your volunteers who are very proud of what we do. And they like it shows. And that's lovely. We're very, very fortunate on that front.
So if somebody is thinking, oh my goodness, I want to get involved next year, how do they go about it?
Yeah. I mean, if people want to, on the volunteer front, absolutely volunteers at windsorfilmfestival.com. As simple as that.
And you were saying how important the downtown is to the festival.
Yes.
How do the people from in downtown, whether the business people, the politicians, how sort of do they receive WIFF?
Very, very well. One, they're very supportive and very kind. There's no question, because I think because we have such large audiences, there's a very tangible economic impact and helps people along. People have gone through a very rough 2 years. Yeah. And the one thing Windsor, I think, is tremendous at is supporting local. Windsor knows how to we know how to rally around each other. And I think that's a really, really important piece. And I always get a kick when one of the downtown shawarma shops will say, there's one on Villette that will always say, they're like, you pay my rent for 3 months. I'm thrilled by that.
Isn't that fabulous?
Oh my, I'm thrilled. We only hope it for you because that's what we want. We want to make sure everyone benefits from it. That's actually the point. We want everyone to find their piece that brings them value.
Now, you're a very busy man. You're the director of the School of Creative Arts at the University of Windsor, and you teach marketing.
I do.
And the university is a player in all of this.
It's a huge player, and I'm very, very proud. One, the University of Windsor's spectacular support of me. They hired me as a film marketing expert, and they said, we want you involved in the community. We want you to try to do some great things. And they're endlessly supportive. And I'm really, really proud that a lot of the growth from WIFF has actually come out of our campus with my students. That's a really lovely, lovely thing, that there's a handmade quality to WIFF that Windsor can be really proud of.
And we're out of time, but for Vincent, Georgie, how long do you want to do this?
Oh my gosh. You know what? As long as we're having fun and being meaningful and relevant, it's real passion. When you actually, not just love, and I'm sure you can relate to this, when you fundamentally believe in what you're doing, it's easy.
Do you have a favorite pick in this year's WIFF?
A film that I really love that I think our audience will love is Nick Shields' new film, which is about Willisted Manor. It is wonderful, beautifully made, and just so interesting. Loved it. Check that out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been grand. Well, that's all for this episode of Scribes and Songsters. Many thanks to our guest, WIFF Executive Director and my friend, Vincent Georgie. Thanks to our Scribes and Songster team, producer Liz Pettipies-Phillips, technical producer and editor Gary Glass, social media manager Michelle Fortier, and consultant Brian Sweet. Grateful thanks to Tony Toldo and the Toldo Foundation, and to Neil and Tina Queering for their support. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon, right back here on Scribes and Songsters. I'm Veronique Mandal. Bye for now.